ran my own sales and marketing consultancy for like 10 years, but lost that business during COVID, ended up homeless, nearly bankrupt. Darkest hour was probably my most happiest, because I was almost relieved that I could start everything again. I remember doing a video sat in my apartment in Congleton about a candle. I sold like 4,000 of them in 2 days or something from these videos. It just blew up. There's always a last time when you'll do something with your son or your daughter. It'll be the last time you pick them up. That really hit home. If you can't make decisions quickly, you will fail. Create moments. And when moments are created, you've got to double down on those moments. If you don't, somebody else will. I always knew that I would find something eventually that was my thing.
Hello, mate.
Hey, mate, you all right? Long time no see.
How are you?
How's things?
Yeah, good, mate. Not too bad. Coming in.
Cheers, man.
Welcome to AMSOS podcast. We're going to jump straight into it. There's 2 different lanes of categories in here, and I'm just going to ask you which one you want to answer questions from. So let's jump in.
Okay.
Ambition or acquisition?
Ambition.
Money or mistakes?
Mistakes.
Strategy or sacrifice?
Strategy.
Operations or opinions?
Definitely not operations. Opinions.
Service or survival?
Service.
Service. Okay. While I get all of this set up, well, why don't you give us some context about you? Who is Chris? What are you doing? What have you been getting up to? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. When was the last time I saw you?
I'd say 4 years, give or take.
4 years, give or take. God, that's like blink and it's gone.
Yeah.
So Chris Grimes, Navarro, social commerce, been literally, it's been like I say, blink and it's gone. It's been nearly 2 years. So I actually got into TikTok shop kind of by mistake. So when you knew me, I ran my own sales and marketing consultancy for like 10 years, but lost that business during COVID, ended up homeless, nearly bankrupt. And I actually was so relieved when that happened, because I could start all over again. I moved to Congleton because it's the only place I could really afford to live. And as we came out of COVID and I got myself back on my feet, I ended up staying on my friend's sofas. And then one of my friends said, stay in my spare bedroom for 2 or 3 months, get yourself back on your feet. And in those 2 or 3 months, and I just planned everything. And then I got my first client back out of COVID, back in my apartment in Congleton. Was like, oh, will you start me a TikTok channel? We want to generate leads off TikTok. You know, you're a really good presenter. I was still doing BNI at the time, so I was still in BNI, still had that kind of, those connections. But I was getting a bit, like, I'd kind of outgrew BNI, if I'm honest, at that stage. And the first client came out and said, oh, will you start as a channel? So I was like, TikTok. I was like, isn't that just about dancing? Because it was when it took, like, during COVID, it was about dancing. And then all that happened was, I was like, yeah, I'll start one. I can present. It's dead easy. Don't mind doing content. But I was like, if the channel blows up, I get to keep the channel basically. And then it blew up. Like within 4 months, I got to like 100,000 followers. I'd kind of hit on a trend with the cost of living crisis. I was going through a cost of living crisis myself. So I was always looking where to save money, where to sort of build my wealth back up, as if you like, and get myself back on my feet. So I was going through all the challenges that someone would do, like shopping, like redoing all your gas, electric, your Wi-Fi, mobile phone deals. So I was actually living it. So when I was presenting it and talking about it, I was going through that. And then if you remember as well, we're still going through the, I'd gone on benefits for a really small period of time. I found that whole experience horrendous, to be honest with you. I think if you're on benefits, it's probably a whole new conversation, but I've never been on benefits in my life, but needed it for about 3 months. But wow, that was a horrendous experience, but saved me really. And then TikTok, because I was a big creator, I invited us down to TikTok HQ, and I got to, because of my networking past, I'm a good networker, so I know how to network. And a lot of the people in the industry is like 21, 22, 23, and they've not got grey hairs like I have. So I could network pretty quick. I got to know the hierarchy within TikTok really well from a creative perspective. Went to a couple more events, and they were like, oh, you told us you used to run a sales and marketing consultancy. We're really struggling to onboard big brands because of the reputation of the platform. Because at that time, TikTok was all known for Chinese brands, really. And it was going through that growth curve, which right at the start, which Amazon went through, eBay went through. It's just everyone doesn't remember that they went through the same thing, just that TikTok were doing it a lot faster. So I was like, okay, we'll have a chat. And then went to a presentation about TikTok Shop. I was like, wow, this is going to be massive, basically. Showed us what's happened in China, where the growth is. And then they were like, oh, do you want to be an affiliate? Do you want to start off as TikTok Shop affiliate? I was like, what's TikTok Shop affiliate? Showed us that. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then, so I was one of the first TikTok Shop affiliates in the pilot program. There's 300, 400 affiliates. And I was in that pilot program. And I remember doing a video, sat in my apartment in Congleton, about a candle. It's like a candle, like a disposable candle, 99, come for 99p. And I sold 4,000 of them in 2 days or something from these videos. It just blew up. And then they were just sending me more and more stuff. But as that started to take off, then I got my consultancy clients started coming back. So I was like, I don't really want to do it. There's no point me doing affiliate. I was earning all right money, like 200 or 300 quid a month, but affiliate not really taken off at that point. Anyway, 6 months passed. I just carried on doing some consultancy. I was went back to it because it was a safety net, and I knew that it was a big amount of money I could bring in pretty quick. And then I got a phone call from TikTok who said, oh, look, we've got a client that we really want to bring on board. They're Manchester based, but we need someone who can onboard them properly. So I was like, and at the same time, another agency that I'd worked with doing some consultancy for, that was his client as well. So he introduced me to that client. I took them to TikTok, and the rest is history, basically.
Wow.
And then, yeah, from there to where we are today, with 10 staff, top 5 agency in the UK for live shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Homeless, nearly bankrupt, 100,000 followers in 4 months, on benefits for 3 months, TikTok HQ now top mobile commerce, shopping commerce, live commerce agency and TikTok agency
top 5,
in the country. What did that experience tell you about yourself?
Do you know what? I say this all the time. I think you'll know it from knowing me for a long time. It's my self-belief never really waned, to be fair. I always knew that I would find something eventually that was my thing. And the great thing about TikTok is you're good one day, but you're not good the next. So it's not an industry you can really get bored with. It's almost suited to my personality. Do you know what I mean? That kind of dopamine, adrenaline, sort of almost gambling in a little bit of a way. It is. Do you know what I mean? It is like that. It's very, very addictive. Even on live shows. I do affiliate lives now, but I do it because I love just making money. Do you know what I mean? But again, even though I could make money doing other things, it just never really ignited me like that did. So I always knew it was going to be okay. It was funny because I've said to loads of people before, in my probably darkest hour was probably my most happiest, because I was almost relieved that I could start everything again. And COVID was the worst time in my life, but actually out of the fire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Rebirth.
Yeah, rebirth.
Exactly. Love that. Well, I know you're a very ambitious person, so there's no surprise when you picked ambition as the category. So let's find out what card you go for. Right. Thank you very much. And let's see what the deck has in store for you. What ambition do you have now that would have surprised the person who started this?
What ambition now? I think fitness probably really, I changed my mindset on health, being healthy. I was, me before, I was 3 or 4 stone heavier. I didn't look after myself as much. And I would link my success down to me dialing in from a mindset perspective. I was always motivated, but probably didn't look after myself too well. My weight fluctuated all the time. It still does a little bit now, but I would say that is very much a part to play in the success. When I learned about my ADHD, I'd only got diagnosed with ADHD when I was sort of 43, 44. And I've learned more about how my brain needs to be active in the morning. So like I trained before, but I didn't train as rigorously as I do now. And I don't train at night, I train in the morning. First in the morning, I'm up at 5 pretty much most days. And I go and train like when I can, like 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week. My missus trains as well, so she's up early. So that massively helps when you've got a partner who's doing similar things. So I'd say that's probably the one thing that surprises you.
What did that ADHD diagnosis mean for you?
I don't know. It's one of those things which is kind of, it's a weird thing with the ADHD, because I see lots of people talk about it and lots of people mentioning it. And I guess it just taught me how different my brain's wired a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And also the things that I was doing that weren't making it any better. Do you know what I mean? With diet, with no exercise, drinking too much coffee after a certain time, not getting a regular sleep pattern. So like there's a lot of biohacking things which made me worse. I don't really talk about it that much with ADHD, because I just think everyone talks about it. I almost think everyone's got ADHD these days, so I kind of just don't mention it. But I was probably one of the first ones a long time ago to get diagnosed, but I don't really talk about it. But I don't really see it as I've never seen it as a negative, really. So I'm a believer, like you are. It's like you are what you make. Do you know what I mean? It's like put labels on whatever you want, but like there's people who are disabled that go in the Olympics and stuff like that. So it's what you make of it, and how you choose to go down whatever path, just whatever you tell yourself in it.
So how are you using it to fuel this part of your life?
That's what I'm saying. But what I learned is that I need an industry that is like boom, 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 constant. Do you know what I mean? So like before, when I was doing consultancy, I wasn't really under that much pressure, to be fair. But then I learned the more pressure I'm under, the better I perform, which is why TikTok for me is a perfect industry, because it's constant. What is good today is not good tomorrow. What was good last week is not good this week. You know, there's common threads of what stays, of course there is, but the platform changes so much. And it really does feed into that person, me, who needs that constant adrenaline, live shows. Do you know what I mean? It's like almost like TV, and live shows, blah, blah, blah. It's like almost going onto a football pitch or performing, isn't it? It's that performing elements. You knew that I loved it when I was president of BNI, because I loved that. But it's like that we're doing that every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's doing that every single day to thousands and thousands of people. So that kind of lent itself into it perfectly.
Now, I can definitely relate with the more pressure I'm under, the better I perform. But there's 2 sides to every coin. Mm-hmm. What is the second side of that coin for you, and how do you manage that piece?
I don't know, really. I think my girlfriend will tell you I probably work too hard. But again, I don't know. It's managing it. I don't really have trouble managing it as such. I think probably I've probably gone too far the other way in terms of, but I think because we're in that growth phase at the moment, that I'm almost know that this window is not going to last forever. Do you know what I mean? We are in a window where not all the big brands are on the platform. We've got the opportunity now to win a lot of the big brands and almost go to other countries and make a huge agency out of what we are. So I'm almost like, I ain't got time. Do you know what I mean? We've got a plan. We've got a 3-4 year plan. So we've just got to try and execute that plan. And I don't think I'd forgive myself if I didn't try that hard to execute it.
Well, the next category you chose is mistakes. And certainly with a lot of ambitious people that I talk to, I often find you have to make a bunch of mistakes along the way. That's why there's a saying, you don't really fail, you often just learn before you then start earning. So the question for you is, what's something you'd tell your younger self about the early days? So you're in the agency 2 years in. What's something you would tell yourself, your younger self, about these early days of the agency?
That's a good question. What would I tell my younger self about early days? Just to enjoy it, really. Do you know what I mean? I think that pressure is a privilege kind of thing. Again, it's that mindset, isn't it? It's glass half empty, half full, isn't it? Well, what do you want to see it as? I think sometimes we forget the reason why you've got pressure is because people think you're good enough to handle that pressure. Do you know what I mean? And I think the people really exceed at life is the people who embrace that pressure. Do you know what I mean? You look at Bellingham on the England pitch, he's like the higher the pressure cooker, the more he's like, come on, give it to me. And I'm the same. So it's like, but in the early days, I think, even though when I look back at it, I felt like I liked it, but probably didn't embrace it as much as what I should have done. But again, you're just learning about yourself, aren't you? So I think when you're younger, it's just to if you're under pressure or you're busy, like sometimes I've not been busy and I've not been under pressure and it's boring. Do you know what I mean? So I would say, yeah, pressure is a privilege and treat it as that, basically.
How did you not enjoy it? So in the early days, looking back over your
career? Because again, like I think in the early days, I earned a lot of money when I was 21, 22, when I worked for Yale.com. And I think you're so immature at the time, I grew up on a council estate. I wasn't really used to that much money. I earned 100 grand a year when I was 22, 23. And I never earned that much money again until like the last year. And I would say that I didn't have any guidance or any mentors at that particular time. Do you know what I mean? So I enjoyed it I just went and bought a load of stuff, but I didn't really do anything with it. So I'd always like blow all my money and having to start again. Going back to that, I put myself under pressure. So do you know what I mean? And I think that's sometimes why I got rid of that money, because I was like, I wanted to keep myself skinned. Well, that's the thing I tell myself anyway.
I mean, that couldn't have been easy. That level of wealth at such a young age.
Yeah.
And then only now just get into it 2 decades later, really?
Yeah.
Like, how did you keep yourself going?
I suppose there's a lot of those years I just plodded along, really. And then I suppose when you're employed, it's just easy to plod, really. Because you work, you get paid, you get holidays, you've got all your mates at work, and you know what I mean? So it's like, I think sometimes when you're in a job, it's easy not to have ambition. And then you get to the point where you're like, I'm at a crossroads here, what do I do? Do I ever go and work for myself and take a risk? And for me, I was like, I just need to take the risk, I need to take the plunge. Can't work for anyone any longer. I need to really, really, obviously the birth of my son made a massive difference in getting older. That's definitely a motivation in terms of like proving to him that anything's possible.
A lot of people don't talk about the challenges that come with being a father as well as being an entrepreneur. Like it's typically, everyone understands the challenges that come with being an entrepreneur. Everyone understands the challenges that comes with being a father.
Yeah.
But not many people understand the combined challenge that comes with you're a father as well as you're an entrepreneur. It's a different kettle of fish. Now that your son is growing, as someone who's starting in that journey, my son is 14 months old. Yeah. Your son is what, 14, 15, 16 years old? What kind of advice would you give to somebody like myself, who I'm sure a couple of the audience listening and watching are also going to be in that boat? What kind of advice would you give?
Do you know what? It's funny because I'm glad that I wasn't, in a way, I'm glad I wasn't ultra successful when he was younger, because then I got to spend more time with him. Like from the ages of when I was my most skin and my most unsuccessful, I'll use it in inverted commas, when I'd lost all my money during COVID, I got to spend loads of time with him. Got to spend weekends. We've got the caravan in Abersock. We used to go down there. I used to go away all the time. I had freedom really to do whatever I wanted. So, you know, sometimes at that time I wasn't rich in money, but I was rich in other things and time. And that time allowed me to spend more time with him. And I suppose when he's younger, I always I see a video sometimes on TikTok, just some things that just make me instantly cry. And there's a girl on TikTok, and it was a trend for a while, which is there's always a last time when you'll do something with your son or your daughter. There'll be the last time you pick them up, the last time you take them to school, last time you take them to rugby. Do you know what I mean? And that really hit home to me, that of like, there's always going to be last time. Because I remember the last time, it was probably when I was about 13, and he let me hug him before I go to sleep. And like, I didn't know that was the last time. But he's not even wants dad giving him a cuddle. Do you know what I mean? So, but when it weighs on you like that, you're like I always think about when he was really little, like you're 14 months, the last time I was lying on your chest as little. Do you know what I mean? And those things, I think, time is precious. So maybe I wasn't rich in monetary terms, but I was in other ways.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Let's look at strategy, which is the topic that you chose.
Yeah.
What's something you walked away from strategically that freed you up?
B&I. Yeah. I walked away from B&I after being in it for 8 years. I couldn't thank B&I enough for quite a lot of things in my life. Community support taught me a lot. But yeah, walking from B&I was definitely a change for me. I think that when I sat in B&I, I almost pigeonholed myself around people who were at a certain level of business. And I was never going to, show me your friends, show me your future kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, everyone is amazing in B&I, and they get to it. There's some very successful people in B&I, but not in the industry that I was in. So I needed to move away to be around people who are in my industry, which was a new industry, to be successful. So I think from a strategic point of view, that was probably one of the hardest, because how I much loved B&I, still love B&I, can't speak highly enough about it, but there comes a time when you've got to leave.
For those that don't know what B&I is, I mean, you and I, we did meet in B&I a very, very long time ago, and for a long time, you were Mr. B&I. What is B&I? And like you said, he had profound impacts on you, but still, you leaving that, closing that chapter to open a new door for yourself has been one of the greatest things you've done. What is B&I? What were the benefits, and how did leaving that then make you get to the level that you're at now?
Yeah, so B&I's global networking organization, like groups meet every single week around the world, and it's huge around the world. And you meet every single week. There's a structured meeting on a whatever day it is, 6 o'clock in the morning. Could be any time during the day, and they have multiple meetings. I decided to start a group with Dave Kelly, who I'm still very good friends with. I've just been on his stag do, and I'm going to his wedding. So got some very good friends out of B&I. And actually, when I was at my lowest, the people within B&I got together and helped me. So from a family community, I can't, it was like they literally pulled together for me, man. Do you know what I mean? Again, they pulled me out of my darkest hour. So you then, in that group, you meet every single week. There's a seat structure. So 1 seat per industry, builders, electricians, social media, SEO, all carry a seat. But it has a very traditional way of doing business, which is we're all referral based. So it's an American model, which has been successful for a long, long time, still is successful. And I was lucky enough, because I built the first group, B&I Beyond. I was lucky to be enough to be president for 2 years, so I ran the meeting every single week. And I loved B&I when I ran the meeting, because I liked the show, basically. I loved the show, which is why live shopping is perfect for me. I loved the show. I loved that people passing each other business. We had an amazing group at the time. If you think all the people went on and what they went on to be, I met Ross, who now is my business partner there, which is again a 360, because he met James, unfortunately, who passed away recently. He met James there, and then it came 360, and it's quite a beautiful story, really. And it sort of served me well for so many years. But then I got to that point of, I watch a lot of YouTube, like you do, watch and listen to a lot of podcasts, and then I just kept hearing the same message time and time again. Is sometimes you need to be in different rooms. I always felt within B&I, I was always really ahead of the curve. and I was teaching everyone else. I just didn't feel I was growing in any shape or form. And I needed to be the lowest person in the room. Do you know what I mean? And again, I don't mean monetary-wise. There's people in BNI who are a lot richer than I was, but I always think, and I think quicker and look at opportunities. I might not have maximised on those opportunities in the past, but the intention was always there. That was good, and I left because I just thought, right, I need to be around people who are higher achievers, who have a bigger ambition and bigger goal.
But that couldn't have been easy because you were in BNI for a very long time.
Oh, very long time. And also I was in Cheshire region, so I was one of the DCs in Cheshire as well. Which again, like amazing. I think going to Cheshire was again a change again, because Manchester was quite a forward-thinking region. Cheshire was almost slower, a little bit. So I was just thinking, I don't want to. It's just going too slow for me, this. And then, like, once you start looking outside, then you're like, yeah, it's time for me to go.
So say someone watching this is going, I've got a big decision to make here. I've got the familiar, the environment that I do know and has served me very well. But then I've got this itch to go do something else, to maybe leave that environment and explore other avenues and explore other options. What were your decision-making metrics to help you go, yeah, leaving is the right?
So I literally sat down, and I very rarely write things on a piece of paper. But I sat down with myself and said, where do you want to be in 5 years? And is being in that group or those group going to get you where you wanted to be in 5 years, basically? And the answer was no. So I put pros and cons. I mean, there's lots of pros, but there was lots more. This is why you will not get there within that period of time if you carry on doing time again. Going back to time, I would, again, BNI, because you pass your referrals, it is, you put in a lot of hours into BNI, because I was a DC and like running meetings as well. You know how much time that takes up. So then I just sat down and I was like, if I put all my time and effort into making content for TikTok, doing affiliate, or doing like working on more clients for TikTok, and actually taking the opportunity where it is, then I was like, it's just a no-brainer, really. When I sat down and wrote it all down, it was just quite glaringly obvious that was going to be the case.
We're going to move into opinions. Now, I've known you a long time. You aren't shy to say what's on your chest. So I'm hoping we've got a really good question in here for you. So let's go. Okay. The question is, what's a strong opinion you've actually changed your mind on over the years?
It's a really tough one, that. I think it's an opinion. I think more down to opinion of myself. I think for quite a long time, I never, even though it's funny, I have those two people, the sort of devil and angel, don't you, on your shoulder. And for a long time, I didn't think I would make it, but then I knew I would make it, if you get what I mean. So I think the opinion is, doesn't matter what age you are, you can always achieve whatever you want to achieve. Yeah, it's a difficult one, that. I mean, going back to the BNI thing, I was very strong in my opinion for BNI, really. I think that was my biggest mindset shift. We kind of covered it on the last question. Because for me, I was, like you say, Mr. BNI, and I was fully not indoctrinated. I mean, it makes it sound like a cult, but I was all in. And I think breaking out of that at the right time, because it served its purpose for what it was, but definitely breaking out of that then really elevated me to the next stage. But taking what I'd learned from a lot, like the reason why I got into TikTok is because I networked the hell out of it. I had those skills, but they definitely got better at BNI.
But then looking at what you do now, TikTok, like you were saying earlier in the podcast, it's so fluid. You can't be rigid. And having that ability to, you might have an opinion on something, but then being able to pivot and being able to change that. How do you think that's going to, I guess, serve you and the agency moving forward?
Well, I actually think business now though. So it's funny because everyone always says whenever I go and pitch in the boardroom now of the biggest businesses that are coming onto the platform, they always say what makes people successful on TikTok Shop, what makes brands successful on TikTok Shop, and we always have the top 10 shops. And I say you have a look at the top 10 shops on TikTok now that are doing millions of pounds. Did you know those brands 2-3 years ago? And they're like, no, don't know them. Like Shark Ninja, of course, but even Shark Ninja though weren't as well known as what they are now. I'd say TikTok has elevated them. But other than Shark Ninja, like P. Louise wasn't around 2 or 3 years ago. It really goes, while she was small 2 or 3 years ago, made by Mitchell. No, the Halara, like massive brands now, 100 million turnover brands, nowhere to be seen. And what made them successful is they moved quickly and they failed quickly. And there's where the bigger businesses now, that's what my biggest challenge with the big businesses is getting them to change their opinion that they can fail faster. It doesn't have to go through the bureaucracy. And in fact, if you go through all the bureaucracy, like on TikTok, if you don't make your mind up that day, and that's the biggest thing I say to brands when working with us, if you can't make decisions quickly, you will fail. If it goes through the 5-6 levels, you've already lost the opportunity, because in TikTok, you've got to create moments. And when moments are created, you've got to double down on those moments. If you don't, somebody else will. Do you know what I mean? And that's where the brands that we bring on now, they really struggle. They really struggle to get up to speed. And the reason why TikTok created TikTok Shop Partners is for that reason. Is like they haven't got time to babysit everyone, so they need someone else who's going to hold a hand. But like it takes even the brands now. Like we deal. One of my biggest clients is Remington and Russell Hobbs. Amazing team, and I'd say out of all the ones I deal with, they've come along the journey. They're almost like an agency themselves, so easy to deal with. But they're like a unicorn. They just don't exist anywhere. Like we work with hundreds of brands, but they've got logistics. They've got multiple marketing people. It's such difficult to get them into that mindset of you don't need to sit in a room every hour and discuss the micro detail of TikTok. If you do that, we're done, basically. You just can't do it. And I think that's really where, going on about opinions, you have to change their opinion and the way they do business. A little bit like when Amazon first came around. If you think about when Amazon first came around, like FBA, stuff like that, like different business model. So if you can't adapt to that business model, then don't bother really.
And you've been in the agency world a very long time.
Yeah.
Across different agencies. Now you have your own agency, Novaro, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like, how have you changed the opinion of the way most agencies operate to you guys now maybe experimenting and being able to fail faster to keep you going forward? Like, what does that look like for you guys?
It's hard in our industry because trying to find people with TikTok experience is tough, and especially like a TikTok agency experience. So you might find someone's worked for a brand, but again, it's only 2 or 3 years old, so that's really hard. I always say to everyone who comes in for us for an interview is you might have worked in an agency before, but this is 3 times the pace. So, you're either going to keep up or you're not really. And it is so fast paced. TikTok are very demanding, very demanding. They won't mind me saying that either. They have targets. So the managing is different to how we traditionally would do. You just have a client-to-client relationship and you'd have Google or you'd have PPC. You're not talking to anyone. Do you know what I mean? As what happens now is we all sit in a group. So TikTok, the client, us, and TikTok are putting pressure on us as an agency to make sure that brand goes through the different stages of levels which they deem successful for TikTok. And if they don't, then don't blame the business. They blame us as an agency. So dealing with that multitude of pressure between the 3 sort of stakeholders, if you like, is a difficult thing to manage because we're basically running their business on TikTok. It's not like all the businesses that we deal with, we fully run all their operations. Then we start to hand it over back to the client after a period of time once they're used to it, but they struggle with the pace.
And I guess that leads us nicely into service, which is the last category that you chose. So I'll be interested to find out how you handle that pressure or manage that pressure with the service level and deliveries. And the question for you is, what's the piece of work that opened doors you didn't expect?
Piece of work that opened that I didn't expect. I think that that initial taking on that TikTok account, I didn't think it would lead to where I am today. I just thought I'm just doing that to get paid some consultancy money. No way did I think it would blow up to 100,000 followers. No way did I think I'd have an agency out of it and become a TikTok specialist. I never thought I'd become I'll use inverted commas, influencer, which at the time, I suppose you could class it out as it was. Yeah, crazy.
Do you think if you went on TikTok with the mindset of, I want to grow this account to 100,000 followers, it would have gone that way? Or do you think it was because, listen, you were just living your experience and you were as authentic as you possibly could be that made it go that way?
I think people who go on with the mindset of, I want to go to 100,000 followers, will 9 times out of 10 fail. Do you know what I mean? Is, like you said, I just went on as my authentic self. I just talked about the pain that I was having and what I was trying to save money on. And it wasn't polished. It wasn't, I mean, some of the videos I look back at now, I'm thinking, what? But that is very TikTok though. Do you know what I mean? It's like I was creating hooks and doing things before everyone was talking about hooks and stuff like that. And I was just storytelling, which is what we do as salespeople anyway. I've just got a lot better at storytelling, really, because that is social media as a whole, isn't it? It's movies, it's podcasts, it's everything. It's live shows, same thing, right? So I'd say, yeah, definitely.
What part of TikTok do you love the most, and what part of TikTok do you despise?
I just love the energy. Like, the whole ecosystem is a high-performing athlete. Do you know what I mean? If you think of the best, they're unrelenting to take over Amazon. Their unrelenting desire to topple that marketplace, and it will happen. And to dominate and to, market grab. Love that about it. It's hungry, which then makes us hungry as agencies. And it's almost that fight or flight. And it is a fight or flight, whether you're employed by them or whether you're an agency. It's like, if you're not with us, then you're not going to survive, basically. I love that about it.
And what part could you do without?
What part don't I like, do you mean? I think I don't like that we're so reliant on TikTok, really, which is why we're starting to do a lot with Instagram and Facebook, with lives, with Spree. I think the industry's going to change. Sure, we'll talk about that later on, but the industry's going to change because of the dominance of TikTok, especially in the UK. They're not as dominant in the other markets. There is other players in other markets, but over here they're totally dominant. Whatnot is hot on their heels, which is why TikTok changed their model recently to allow auctions on the site. I was at a meeting yesterday. They're going to have alcohol on TikTok, which is massive, because that will really take a lot of business from Amazon. But I don't want to be reliant on TikTok. That's my only thing I don't like at the moment. TikTok hold a lot of my cards. And when you understand how it works within the industry, that can change pretty quickly. So if you're looking at a business risk, it's probably my greatest strength, but also my greatest risk as well, that I need to diversify a little bit more, which we've just started to do. We started to do lots of spree shows with clients that's live on Facebook, Instagram, and on website at the same time. And we've started to come away from just TikTok. We're doing a little bit of Whatnot as well, just to diversify, so we're not solely reliant on. And also, there's a lot of clients that TikTok's not for everyone. Like I said before, it's a beast, it's an animal, it's not every business will want to be on it.
You said the industry is going to change. Looking at your crystal ball, whether that's on the social commerce niche of marketing or the general marketing landscape as a whole, where do you see the industry going?
Well, AI is accelerating at a rate of knots, and AI content is here, so people can create content at a faster scale. Doesn't mean that they will create good content, because you still need to know how to storytell. In fact, we see a lot of terrible AI slop on the internet. Live shows will only get bigger. When you look at live shows, I think they were 156% up on last year. TikTok, there'll definitely be another 100, 120% this year. All the big brands are coming on the platform now. You've got huge brands, even from January. Tresemme, L'Oreal, Richer Sounds, Wilco's range are just about to come on. All the alcohol brands, like big brands coming on the platform, all will do live shows, and then the industry will learn live commerce and then realize, well, if I could do live shows on TikTok, then I've learned that skill as a business. Why can't we do it on Meta? Why can't we do it on our own website? There's all the conversions, and that's from a discovery platform. Imagine when I've got an engaged audience. So I would say to Wilco or the range, or anyone with a big emailing list, if you sent an email out saying we're doing a live show on a Wednesday at 7:00 and you were consistent with it, like why wouldn't they come to that show if you did the same live exclusive, if you did the same bundles, if it was back to school, or if it was themed around things? So you'll see a lot of the big e-commerce brands have learn with TikTok, but then, or if they're not, don't start with TikTok first, they'll come through the other platform, but they'll go more towards live commerce, because live commerce helps customer services, it helps conversion on site, and you just have to look at what the way China's gone with that. They're doing £1 billion on lives.
Okay. Well, Chris, I could talk to you all evening long about the world of social commerce, TikTok, live shopping, Meta, etc. It is a fascinating space, and when people like Gary Vaynerchuk keeps harping on about it, there's something to it as well. But this next part of the podcast is the AMSOS challenge. The previous guest before you has set you a challenge without knowing who you are. So the question is, would you like to accept the challenge without knowing what it is?
Of course.
So the challenge set for you is the dream client. Without saying who it is, describe the qualities of your dream client.
My dream client would be a world-renowned, biggest in the industry, probably the biggest one of its kind in the world, driven by tradition and achievements over decades, very dear to my heart as a person. So it would be my dream to win that particular client.
Well, dream client, if you're listening, if those qualities apply to you, then come over here. To finish the show, Chris, the last question is a game of chance. There's a 6-sided dice in front of you. I'd like you to roll it, and whatever number that lands on determines which question we're going to end with.
Okay.
2. If I gave you £10,000 for a charitable cause, how would you spend the money and why?
That'd be too. I suppose I have to pick one, don't I?
You don't have to.
I don't have
you
to.
can divvy up the money however you want, across 1, across 10, across 100, up to you.
I think the two biggest things, which I always think, I wish there was a solution to the problem. And I don't know what the solution to the problem is, by the way. But the more I'm in the city, I see homelessness getting worse. 5 years ago, you never saw women on the street homeless. They are now. We're fundamentally failing people at their lowest ebb, I think. And having nearly been homeless myself and being probably one step away from being properly homeless. And we worked with Barnabas, didn't we, when we were at Being Ice. We know that not everyone goes on the street a drug addict, not everyone goes on the street an alcoholic. But I understand from speaking to those people over years that, and going through it myself, how quickly your life can spiral. Luckily, I had a very positive mindset. I had a good group of friends and people around me, but not everyone is that lucky. So I think I would go towards trying to do some kind of change with the homeless crisis in Manchester. I don't think anyone should be homeless, but it's so hard to see women on the street, and there's more and more now. And I just think that wasn't the case 5-6 years ago. Why? What's changed? It's incredibly sad to see.
Chris, you are the ultimate definition of resilience. Mm-hmm. You are someone who has bounced back at every point in life. Now, I've known you coming up to a decade, and I've seen different versions of you and different pieces of a snippet of your life. And I love what you're about. I love that ability to never give up, to never die, even when everybody writes you off, even when people think that's him, it's done and dusted. You always found a way to rise above the ashes. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. We're definitely going to link all your details in the description below. Navarro Agency, your LinkedIn, Instagram.
Yeah, thank you.
That way people can connect with you. And I'm sure there's a few people who want to get into the space of live commerce and live shopping, TikTok shop, Meta, and so on and so forth, that can engage with you and connect with you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being a shining light that anything is possible. It's not over until you eventually decide for yourself that you no longer want to. I've loved being a small part of your journey, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where you take Navarro Agency and how you dominate the live commerce space. So it's been a pleasure having you on the AMSOS podcast.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.